Reach does the badass jump out of a helicopter, guns blazing thing for its third chapter.
Let's move, Lieutenant.
So, the first thing you want to do is, the moment you get control of 6, immediately throw a grenade here, because you forgot what right-click does. A side note, by this point, you'll be pretty sure that this is in fact not Master Chief. This is just some dude in Spartan armor, like all the other bozos you're working with, which is fine, whatever. It's not like Master Chief had this shining, irreplaceable personality in the first game anyway. Also, you want to actually start reading Sun Tzu for this chapter, instead of just using your God-given intuition to surmise his philosophies. So, your homework before getting to this portion of the guide is to finish reading the following assigned sections of The Art of War. You're reading all introductory essays in chapters 1 to 3 of the Project Gutenberg e-text edition of Lionel Giles' translation. Are you done? Perfect. It'll probably come up later. In the meantime, bring your attention back to the Covenant here, here, and here. You start with the battle rifle on this mission, so remember your training and let your instincts do the driving. The winning move here is to, once again, make your way behind the enemy's attention, taking out easy targets first, and following up with any remaining heavy hitters. Up the stairs to the right is an elite, so go left to face 2 shield guys instead. It's here you'll notice the odd behavior of your health bar. Once your shield is restored, your separate health meter recovers a little, but not all the way. Sure, shield guys reveal themselves as much more frustrating than previously thought. You really can't hammer through these things like you used to. Unless it's with a grenade, apparently. It's this mission that will teach you that you absolutely cannot expose yourself while that shield's down. Even the laziest grunt will eagle-eye snipe your ass the second he has a line. A drop ship will provide reinforcements to the already plentiful Covenant army, and this handsome guy will be waiting for you as you try to sneak around. He has what is basically an alien grenade launcher. You'll want to show it some respect because even though the velocity of the projectile seems slow, this guy's really good at guessing where you're going to be. Once the elites are mostly down, discover the forklift. This is the S2 Traxxas Cargo Transporter, designed by the brilliant minds behind Zanzibar's own Wind Power Station 7. Throughout its 500-year run as the top standing forklift in the sector, the 6.1 meter long, 2.1 meter high S-Line model transports house a propane intake allowing for cargo lifts of up to 5 tons at a time. Whoa, that's a lot of baggage. The S2 model includes a new kill switch and sensors due to, quote, recently enforced safety compliance standards. Whatever that means. Okay, that's enough of that. The grenade launcher that Elite was smoking you with is lying around here somewhere, so pick that up. Quickly realize it sucks, and swap it for a human shotgun. Realize that it too kind of sucks, so whatever, just take the grenade launcher. It's just you and Kat for the first half of the chapter, so follow them to your clearly marked nav point. They'll be standing next to 2 pieces of equipment, armor lockup and the target locator. It's here you learn that your sprint is not just your character running faster, it's actually an equipable variable called an armor ability. You can only have one of these at a time, and this one is called armor lockup. Don't be fooled, armor lockup is a glorified turtle shell for stupid pussies. On some occasions, you can use it in desperation to try recharging your proper overshield, but it usually doesn't last long enough to prioritize it over just running away. Which is obviously a lot easier to do when armor lockup isn't taking up the slot where your sprint would be instead. Take these energy mortars, for example. You can try timing out a fucking sweet shot of 6 taking a bomb to his chest like it's a water balloon fight, or you can be smart and humble and hot and just casually step to the side. Tactical geniuses like you always value substance over style. The target locator is a small handheld device that triangulates large enemy vehicles or structures to order local airstrikes. Airstrikes are known for their imprecision and collateral damage. For example, Since 2001, the United States has dropped 325,980 bombs on foreign soil. Before this date, accurate data is unknown. However, during the Gulf War alone, 88,500 tons of explosives were used to destroy both military and civilian infrastructures, the equivalent of 354 million modern Mk3A2 hand grenades. Based on the military's own assertion of over 100,000 air attacks, military watchdog organization Air Wars estimated that 48,000 of the 387,000 dead civilians reported by Brown University's Cost of War project have been killed by the United States airstrikes since 2001. The majority of these attacks occurred throughout Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. So you want to be careful with these things. But don't worry, it works great here on Reach. The only downside, other than all the dead kids, is that you're limited to 2 strikes at a time. Which is odd, because there are 3 wraiths in this area, and based on everyone's accents and diction, you seem to have a bigger budget for these kinds of things. What's the current United States military budget?
Searching for current United States military budget. According to the data from the World Bank, the current United States military budget for 2021 is $800.67 billion, which is 3.48% of the US GDP.
So what you want to do is tactically die enough times but you reload a glitched checkpoint that spawns only 2 wraiths instead of 3. Can I call you Cortana?
No, you can't.
A warthog shows up, presumably from that airship that's flying straight into that mess up there. But that's none of your business right now. So hop on. Someone on the radio says that there's a station up ahead that will get the team back in communications with command. The plan is you activate both weapons and communication towers to take care of whatever's going on up there, so I guess it kind of is your business, whatever. Kat says anti-air guns are to the west, and comms are to the east. You realize here that you have a compass in your helmet. This would be useful if Halo wasn't a game that pretty much always funnels you into the direction you should be going anyway. It doesn't matter. You already know what it is. Drive right past the enemy until you get to these structures, which will start your next objective. Activating the anti-air gun. There are 3 structures in this location, only 2 of which are significant to you at this time. Using your newly realized helmet compass at the top of the screen, notate the following. The southwest building contains a bunch of elites and a button on the roof that activates the gun atop the tower in the center of this field. And wouldn't you know it, that button is your objective. Also, the Covenant have some kind of EMP launcher that disables the Hog. What is this, a Prius? Seriously, is this not a combustion engine? In moments like this, you refer to your manual. You buy one for like $5 on eBay. The seller will say it's in good condition, but it arrives literally chewed and with a detached spine. Regardless, all the pages are there, maybe, so just flip carefully to the Warthog section. Okay, so Warthogs do have hydrogen engines, so Cortana, are hydrogen engines internal combustion engines?
Searching for hydrogen engines, internal combustion engines. I am not Cortana, I am Bing. Please do not call me by another name. Hydrogen engines are a type of internal combustion engines.
Thanks, Cortana. Would an EMP disable a hydrogen engine?
Searching for EMP effects on hydrogen engines. You're welcome, but I am not Cortana. An EMP is an electromagnetic pulse that can disrupt or damage electronic equipment. An EMP can be caused by natural phenomena, such as...
Okay. You can only suppose that Cortana's right, but it doesn't matter. Whatever nerd shit that's going on in there demonstrates that vital components between the engine and the accelerator are subject to whatever blaster the Covenant have handy. Honestly, this would never happen in Halo 1. They really don't make them like they used to. That being said, vehicular combat seems once again futile. While you can get away with a few kills by driving the gunner around the battlefield, if you get caught by an EMP close to the southwest structure, the opportunistic elite on the roof will hit your hog with explosives. That is, if you don't get sniped right out of the driver's seat first. You try kicking the NPC out of the gun, but then Kat will take initiative and drive you around. This is similarly not ideal. What you want to do is access the south-southeast structure. It holds the armor upgrade that allows you to reacquire your ability to sprint. You're never going to get to that button without it. And besides, this lockup shield is even more useless and even less stylish when there's 0 tanks around to help you look like a badass. Drive right up to the stairway, use the Warthog as cover, and hope Cat and this idiot do something useful for once. Grab the sprint upgrade and human sniper rifle inside. Note that you cannot escape out of this incredibly large window, even though your godlike survivalist animal instincts tell you it's the perfect route. At this point, you'll realize that the sniper rifle doesn't feel quite as effective as you'd expect. In Reach's legendary mode, elites can dome a lot of slugs. The back of the southeast building provides good cover, has tons of ammo and a health pack, and armor upgrades. Don't try to drive the Warthog into the structure, even though it would provide a tactically advantageous position for the machine gunner. And you did get lucky that one time. It's very hard to fit the hog through this doorway, and the elites inside are more likely to grenade you first. It's similarly important to note that Cat will drive away with the hog when left unattended.
We're a team.
You're not. You can line up the Warthog with the door to try and lure out some of these elites. It seems like they can't help themselves but to try to pull people out of the driver's seat. You can use this to your advantage. However, a combination of the previous tactics will finally prove effective. What you do is line up the Warthog gun to the back door of the southeast structure, grab sprint, book it to the sniper rifle, use your bread and butter technique of focusing down grunts. There's a point where just enough Covenant are cleared from the field that you can run up the stairs of the structure, break the knees of this bozo, hit the button, and jump off the roof. By now you've been working on this checkpoint for like 45 minutes straight, so your hands are a little shaky with nerves once you finally hit that fucking button. Run back to the Warthog and taste the sweet relief of your next checkpoint. Kick that piece of shit NPC out of the driver's seat, load him back up into the gun, and drive. Ignore any sense of compassion, don't go back for Cat, it's a mistake. They're invincible, she teleports, she'll be fine, just go. Jeez Louise, look at this guy. The guy on the radio will drop you a Warthog and a freshie.
I got the gun.
Honk the horn to get everyone's attention and continue on down the road. A ghost is waiting for you here, accompanied by another squad of Covenant. There's a plasma launcher lying on the ground back at the two structures, and while it's true that this thing does suck against individual units, it's rather effective against ghosts. When you manage to kill the pilot without destroying the ghost itself, ignore the remaining roadside squad and drive to your next objective, the communications array. Just like before, there are two main structures here, a north tower and a south tower. Okay, if I'm president of the United States and there's a paramilitary force that was funded by the CIA in the 1980s to fight the Soviets out of Afghanistan, and the US gets attacked in a way that follows the paramilitary's MO and intelligence services of France, Germany, the UK, Israel, Jordan, Afghanistan, Egypt, Morocco, and Russia have all filed reports warning the United States about such an attack, how surprised would I look if someone tells me about this while I'm reading books to kids?
Searching for 9/11 attacks and CIA.
Each of these towers have multiple floors and a single button to push. The north tower has 4 levels, while the south is built into the cliff, giving it one of those confusing ground level, basement level situations. Just call this one floor 2. The south tower contains a handful of Covenant along with the first button to press. This guy respawns randomly and will approach from here or here depending on the circumstances. His weakness is getting run over. In this area, you will learn your next vital tactic to success. Reminiscent of their compulsion to yank you out of the driver's seat of any warthog, elites must pilot ghosts. Desperate to crank that hog, they will do anything to get behind the wheel of one of these bad boys. So what you want to do is, take the busted one that you shanghaied earlier and drive it right up to the south tower doorway. Elites are slow and clumsy to hop in, which gives you and your lightning fast reflexes a perfect chance to take them out. Wait for the spring to trap, then slip a grenade right into that idiot's sidecar. Once you've perfected this technique, make your way into the south tower. You won't realize that the button is right on the other side of this door, and instead rightly assume that the fight is impossible without some extra ammo. While the buttons must be pressed in order, here you'll find ammo, grenades, a health pack, and a rocket launcher. The elites in Reach are cogent enough to sidestep rockets, so don't waste any trying. Even the ones in this mini-tank prove a little too slippery. Your gamer instincts will tell you to use this window for cover while you try to rocket that mini-tank, but this one's just too fast. Even closing the distance proves too difficult. So what do? That's right, hide in this bush and wait for the tank to expose itself just enough for you to stick a grenade on it. If it doesn't go with one, sink a couple of slugs into it to finish it off. Maintain your low profile, return back to the south tower, and activate the button. Then book it back to the north tower. After you've pressed that south tower button, the Covenant will send reinforcements. These reinforcements will head inside of the north tower, but you can get there first. The second button is on that roof, so the best tactic is to run as fast as you can to the top of the tower, beat both the dropship and the foot soldiers to any advantageous positioning. Hit the button and jump straight off. Never go out the way you came in. Your final objective of this area is to eliminate the remaining targets. Give Cat that extra push to do their best. And use your battle and plasma rifles to finish the rest of the enemy squad. Command will drop you a warthog with a big giant gun on the back, and you already know what it is. Just up the hill from this pretty cold lake, a small army awaits your arrival. There's ghosts and 2 other unidentifiable alien motorcycles. Your warthog is far too vulnerable to withstand a fight against these guys. So, as usual, drive right on by. Hit this button to open a giant mechanical gate. Inside, there's health, ammo, and more enemies on the other side of these traffic barriers. Drive the warthog as close as you can to the enemy. Utilize the infinite ammo and firepower of that gun in the back. Look, at this point you're an hour and a half into this mission and exhausted, so you gotta take it where you can get it. Don't bother trying to drive the warthog over these barriers. They're not bouncy anymore like in Halo 1, and it sucks. They really don't make them like they used to. You'll notice here that you've returned to your initial drop point. However, a passage is open that allows you to go underground. This room introduces the player to a new but familiar enemy unit, Hunters. Hunters are armored units with minimally exposed vitals, the most notable being here on their back. In Halo 1, you'll recall that Hunters can be slain with one well-placed shot of the human pistol. This too has changed in Reach. 3 shotguns and 3 frag grenades rest in a weapons cache next to a health pack in this room. You'll need all of them. While the hunter's fortitude has changed considerably in Reach, what hasn't changed is the length at which they telegraph their attacks, and the slow pace of their movement. But mind that backslap, just keep moving and hopping to avoid their plasma launchers. This room consists of two notable areas of cover, the barriers here and the corridor here. The corridor contains an elite and 2 grunts. Eliminate them first before engaging the hunters. Once they're down, move around the room freely while you take advantage of openings. Their weakness still seems to exist mostly on their back through this orange viscera, but also potentially the front of their torso. Regardless, it appears their armor must be destroyed to expose this sinew. Throw grenades at their feet, and use that shotgun like a scalpel. Your next objective will be to scale a now abandoned office building. As a former resident of downtown Hartford, Connecticut, the fallen opulence of former American white-collar commerce makes for a familiar yet discomforting environment. You have lots of friends waiting for you here, which is cool because it's the first time in Halo that you've really felt like a fire team. The game conveys a real sense of camaraderie here.
Can't do this on my own.
You have bros and a shared goal. And maybe it's just you and your troubles lately, but the relationship with the group feels poignant. And you're not exactly sure why. I am so lonely. You won't notice the extra diegetic prompt explaining the fire team mechanic, nor will you notice the newly included interface element. It might be obvious later, but right now it's not. Climb the stairs to the final conflict of this chapter. The top of the tower has been blown wide open. Just before you smell smoke, you'll find both human and alien rocket launchers on the ground. You only need the human one for this next part, so grab it. Outside in the airspace, you'll see banshees circling. Meanwhile, Covenant will create the most wildly irresponsible drop zone you could ever imagine. Regardless, the human rocket launcher now has the ability to lock onto certain targets. No one knows why it didn't do this before on those little tanks, which would have been very useful, but whatever, it's fine. Facing the opening of the building, go left to find another half-dozen rockets. While paying occasional mind to the Covenant dropping in, start blasting the banshees. But don't just zoom in and shoot. You must hold the launcher's reticle over the target until the indicator flashes, then you fire. You can do the same to the dropship, but it doesn't go down with just a few rockets, so ignore it, I guess. With the destruction of the last banshee, the airstrike team is clear to nail whatever this ship is. You're gifted some familial conflict and lore.
Mom.
You find out that the elite who beat the shit out of you with a sword last chapter was there collecting items of worship. At first you feel kind of bad about that, but then you remember that he did kill some people along the way, so whatever. War is hell. Kat stole something and pissed off Mom, who gives the Spartan team a spanking or something. Honestly, by the time you get to this cutscene, you're just relieved the chapter's over.